Hi, Janice. Hi, everyone. New year, we're here. New year, new projects. I just love being back. And it's time to craft. I'm just getting it's been a while, so I'm just getting things set up here on my side. Whoops. I even did a preset. And hi, Diane, today. So get out those authentic calendar pages that you haven't done anything with, or maybe you have scraps, because your scraps are going to do really well for this project. And then I used on this one my snowflake punch, but as you can see, I thought I'm going to go ahead, because exact same elements, but I'm going to go ahead and do my February one. So for our tag album, you're going to cut everything. I did give measurements. We're getting caught here on everything authentic, but super easy. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Peggy. And for this little folio, the nice thing is I'm going to create a box. So that will come in a later tutorial. I want to do one for every month. And I believe I still have all these papers. And we're going to create the pole waterfall. And I'm going to show you something a little different. I struggle with this little mechanism. And I just have been playing with it. And I started playing with it this past weekend. And I think this is going to work, because it's working so smooth. I love it. And super easy. I'm going to have one on each of the waterfalls, because the cut aparts fit perfect. And I did size everything to fit this fun little pole waterfall. I did use eyelets, because it's going to have a lot of pulling. And then when you turn it over, we can't let the back of our little tag go to waste, right? I put in a little journaling tag for pictures. And I did the band. This can be used either way, but I did not want to cover that beautiful graphic for January. So you'll have a little folio here. You can also add a photo here. And you'll add your winter pictures. So maybe you've got some sledding pictures or some beautiful birds in the yard. I've got chickens now, so I'm having a lot of fun with them. They were kind of inherited. They changed the zoning laws for my son's in the city he lives, and so we had to take a few of them. And I've got some cute snow pictures of them and the grandkids that are going to go in this little album. Great way to start your new year, and then you can just put them away for later. So to get started, you're going to want to cut, let me put this back. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, you can make more than one. So you could get with one of these paper packs, and I do have some left over at Country Craft Creations, and then check your local scrapbook store. I know we're in a transition where authentic there's no more available. So I have some left at countrycraftcreations.com, but it's minimal. You may already have some, so go ahead and grab yours. But you'll be able to get 2 or 3, just depending on if you want to use the cut aparts. You don't have to use your cut aparts, but they're beautiful for all of these collections. To get started, I did start with a lightweight chipboard. Now this lightweight chipboard can be found on the back of a paper pad from Authentique. You could also just use a cereal box. You don't have to. It can go on cardstock, but you need to do it triple thickness if you're just going to use cardstock, because of that waterfall. It needs a little bit of strength, and you can use regular chipboard. A little harder to round your corners, but I'm going to be using my Crop-A-Dial, and I'm using the photo. I'm going to have the little bit decorative punch, and this is 5 inches by 8.5. So your chipboard is 5 by 8.5. This is going to be the top, so I'm just going to do a decorative punch and on that edge. I've already chosen, so I did some pre-cutting. I've chosen from the collection. One side is the plaid, one side is my hearts. And since your tag is 5 by 8.5, this is going to be 4 7/8 wide, this direction, by 8 3/8 long. Now the side that the waterfall is going to go on, it's going to be the plaid, and then the back side I'll use the hearts. So I'm going to go ahead, hi Anne-Marie, I'm going to go ahead and do the same corner punch that I did my tag. Again, you can leave your tag square if you like to. Then I'm just going to ink the edges. And I'm going to ink the edges of the chipboard. I especially like that this chipboard is just a little darker, and it was on the back of the calendar papers collection pad, or the paper pad. So I just took it right off the back. So that's now inked, and now I can go ahead and ink my cardstock. I'm just using a sepia or vintage photo. You could even use black, red, pink, any color you like. Janice Donahue, are you raising your hand? I see you raising your hand with the little emoji. That's pretty cute. But I hope I didn't miss if you had a question. So if you're just joining us, we just started with the chipboard tag, 5 inches by 8.5 inches. Again, I did only corner round the top because I wanted it to kind of have that tag look. And a tag usually is decorative on the top and then straight on the bottom. Oh, you were waving to every, okay, Janice was just a waving. Right now, it doesn't matter front and back. I'm just going to put down my cardstock. I need to keep track of that pin, and it's white, so that doesn't help. There we go. But I'll put the waterfall on the plaid side, and then the little booklet on the hearts. Hi, Darlene. It sure feels good to be back to somewhat of a normal routine. Hi, Erica. If you're using the wet adhesive, you need to make sure you're spreading the glue. It's like wallpaper. If you don't spread it, you're going to get bubbles or wrinkles or things you don't want. So that's hearts. I need to make sure I put down the plaid. Glue on my keyboard is not a good thing. Oh, it's snowing. We are Zooming tonight. You know, it's really nice here in Utah today. Snow is melting. It's in the 40s. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because usually January and February is terrible. We get down in the low 1, 2, 3 degrees. And we've had some winters, January, because our winters are January and February. You know, spring's only 10 weeks away, so who's not excited for that? But January and February gets so cold. We've had some that are nice and warm, and I'm not even having to wear a coat outside, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed it doesn't change this year. I don't mind snow, but I mind the super cold. That is all we need to do now for our tag. Like I said, if you're making it just out of your cardstock, I would put 2 to 3 pieces of the cardstock together to make the thickness. And then with your matting on top, it'll be heavy enough. So we'll just put this aside. Now we're going to work on the waterfall. For the waterfall, I'm going to go pretty slow so I don't make any mistakes. That's my goal. So you're going to cut 2 pieces of cardstock. Bring the camera just a little bit this way. My first piece is 5 inches by 12. So 5 by 12. It's not quite long enough, so we need another piece that is 4 inches by 3.5. Don't worry about it only being 4 inches. You'll see why in a moment. So you can put the 4 inch by 3.5 inch aside. And we'll start with this 5 by 12. And you're going to start with the 5 inches at the top of your scoreboard. And you're going to score it 1/2 inch. I'm going to turn it around and now score the other side at 1/2 inch. Five by 12. On the 5 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And I turn it and score at 1/2 inch. You never know if that's exactly at 5. You do want that 1/2 inch. Then we're going to turn it to the 12 inch side. Now on the 12 inch side, I want you to score at 3 inches. It's time to dry. We're going to score at 3 inches. 5. 5.5. 6. 6.5. 7. I'll repeat those once more. On the 12 inch side, I want you to score at 3 inches. 5 inches. 5.5 inches. 6. And 6.5. Now, this is where I messed myself up. This section where we've scored at 3, you need to leave this intact. Whatever you need to do to remind yourself, 2 1/2 inch pieces have to stay on. We're going to cut these 1/2 inches off. However you like to do it, you can do it with your knife. I'm going to use my cutter. I'm going to put this piece in at 1/2 inch because I want to get rid of this 1/2 inch down to this 3 inch mark. Again, make yourself a visual. Do not cut those off or it won't work. And the visual should show through your little cutter, which is great because that's your stopping mark. Ooh, I didn't push hard enough, so I'll use my scissors there. I have to turn this over, so I'll remark my visual. I'll push harder this time. And I have these 2 guys hanging. That's just fine. I'm going to burnish that 3 inch mark. Now I have my guide, so I don't make these too, sometimes you'll cut them just at too deep of a angle, and that you'll see it, and I don't want to see it. So I like to fold my paper and use it as my guide so that I have that straight line still on the edges. And I'll miter these corners. And that's what you're left with. Remember the 3-inch piece down here at the bottom needs to have these 1/2-inch score marks. Don't worry about folding them up yet. You'll see why in a moment. We're going to kind of re-burnish them. Or we need to burnish them to fit the paper, basically. So now our 1/2-inch score marks, we're going to go ahead and burnish those. Now, you can see you've made that rolling mechanism. Oh, our dogs are going to bark. So when you move it, you can see how that's going to work. Now we want to take that 3-inch piece that we created by 3.5 by 4. We're going to check it side to side to make sure it's the same size. If it's not, you can trim it now, or you can just trim off an edge here in a moment. But you only want to add about 1/2 inch or to, well, a quarter. Let's go 1/4 inch. Using my whatever you want. You're just going to go about 1/4 inch onto this long piece and overlap. And I like to use the art glitter glue because I know it's strong. When I'm pulling, it's not going to give. We may do some trimming. It'll just depend at the end. So don't worry about your length yet. Now you can make sure if anything's sticking over, doesn't quite fit right, look like it, just trim it so that it's all together. Makes one piece. Okay. So this is where we want to now fold over those 1/2 inch pieces. Now you can kind of get an idea how this will work. Make sure that top one is working well. So I have that top one burnished well. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to fold it. Might not be right on that score line. And that's okay, because you want it to be a little bit loose. See, this one definitely is not. I'm going to push back just a little bit to give it some room. You don't want a tight fit. I'm just going to hold it down and kind of see how well it glides. Now you can kind of see how that's going to work. And as long as it'll never go up that high. So as long as it's gliding well here at the bottom, you're good. If not, just push it back a little bit if you feel it's a little tight, and then just kind of re-burnish that. Okay, once you feel that it's good to go, we are going to now put this on the tag. And we're going to do all the matting while it's on the tag, because we need to have the ability to move it up and down. So, and a couple of things. When you're putting it on your tag, don't worry if this is hanging over the edge. When we're not going to actually glue it down yet. We will in a second after we check the sizing. And you want to leave, if you're going to add a brad at the top, not a brad, an eyelet, So if I say brad, you know I mean eyelet. You need to be able to have room for that. It needs to come in about 1/4 to 1/2 inch. So see, as I'm placing this, this piece does hang over the bottom. It would look okay. I don't want it to hang over the bottom. So I'm just going to do a quick measurement to see what I need to cut off. Once again, because here's the edge of my tag. So it looks like if I take off, I'm going to take off 3/4 of an inch. And then I'll still have room. Well, that's the thing. You need to make sure. Do you still have room if you're going to use a brad? So maybe 5/8 of an inch. Because I'm looking over here to see what is left. So happy retirement, Jackie. That means we get to see more of you. I'm so happy. It's always great when crafters retire, because it seems like we get to know you better. So I'm going to take off 5/8 of an inch. It's always better to take off less than more, as you know, because you can't put it back. Of course, this we could put back. That'd be very easy to piece. Again, let's check our placement. Now that looks great. I'm very happy with that. So before we put this all together, if you want to take care of those corners, let's take care of them now. And, you know, I told you we were going to glue it down first, but we're not. I got ahead of myself because we have to put the eyelet. There's no way to get that eyelet on. Hi, let's go ahead and not, let's see. Let's remove that. Please do not post things like that on our group page, because I took it off. If you post it again, then you will just be blocked. Thank you. Okay, let's do our matting after we cut our waterfalls. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 waterfalls on this one. And I sized this for waterfalls that are 4 by 4 because I wanted to use the 4 by 4s. You know what? I'm getting used to it, Cheryl. Yes, I do like this paper cutter. But I love my dolly, but I'm loving this now that I've gotten, you know, everything has a learning curve and I don't have the patience, but I had the, you know, some time, especially over Christmas, to really get to know my little cutter here. And you've got to have another one if you have one of the big cutters. So I love it. I like to put these down first and then I mat them. It's totally up to you. Hi, Linda. You can definitely mat them first and then put them on, but you're going to lose 1/2 of an inch. And I like to do it after so I get things lined up. This will end up being 3.5 for our matting. It won't be the full 4, just the front side will be. And I'm going to cut my corners right now. So they are 4 by 4. And you want 4 of them. So I'm going to use the photo also on my waterfalls. I'm excited. I love this other one. I've already printed off the photos. I was hoping to have gotten them in before I went live, but I had to take care of the chickens. Okay, so I'm going to put them down starting at this bottom. Okay, whichever is easiest for you. If it's sliding around, bugging you, just open it. And we are going to add adhesive inside of this first 1/2 inch area. Just place it till it sits just below that 1/2 inch score mark. See, don't worry about the back side. It's not going to stick. If you're worried, just go ahead and kind of flip it this way. Don't try and lift it. You really can't lift it. This is called, you need to push it. If you've got glue there, you can clean it up this way. Or you can even just fold it backwards. Don't be afraid to fold it backwards. And then if you have any glue, just clean it up. Into the second one. And do work from the bottom up. Looks like I had two. Again, right on the score line, just below it. Again, if you need to check, hold it backwards and clean up any glue. How fun is this? I think this is just a really fun way to do your waterfalls, to give it that interaction. Okay, my glue is pretty solid. I'm going to hold these two down and flip it over. Don't force it the other way or they will all pop off. Bring it back down. And our last one. Oh, it's not glue. It's my white pen. Sorry. Hold the three down, and then I'm just going to fold it back. Okay, that's great. Matting. Let's do our matting. You can either put it down now and just, well, you've got to make sure this piece right here is matted. And then let me show you. So you need to wrap those hinges to the back and hold it when the last waterfall flips over. So you'll see. This is going to show you how much is going to be exposed when we pull this down. And we have a joining, see that line that we joined right there? We want to, you definitely, that's where we joined this 3.5 inch piece. We need to make sure that it does have matting over it so we get that nice smooth. And I did the front and the back. So you need to measure. Yours is going to be a different measurement than mine if you happen to overlap this any differently. So just grab your measurement. I'm going to stick it about 1/8 of an inch underneath my 3.5 inch piece. So it looks like mine needs to be 4 3/4 long, but I do 1/8 of an inch matting, and it's 4 inches wide. So it's 3 1/4 long. And let me show you on one of the cut aparts, you have all these awesome pre-size 4x6s. I'm going to use the wording, and so I'm going to cut mine 4 5/8 by 3 7/8. These are perfect to use for that. And I will just use the top and the bottom because I do want to mat the back side because it will show when you pull it from the other side. Again, 3 7/8 wide. Hi, Linda. So we'll get rid of that piece. And mine was 4 3/4, but I'm going to cut it at 4 5/8. So I have a border, and I'll turn it around to 4 5/8 again. Tuck that under there just a hair. Check your fit, and let's go ahead and if it fits great, we can go ahead and do the corners. Now that's going to take care of that seam we have that might get stuck, and that's going to give it a really nice pull. Hi, Doris. You know what? Thank you. That is such a compliment. And I love these kind of waterfalls, but I've always struggled. There's always been that band you put around, and I always mess it up. Things get stuck. And I sat here. In fact, poor Tanya kept messaging me, and I told her, I'm just busy. I'm busy. I'm busy. She needed me to check some things out. And I'm like, I have to figure this out. I'm going to get this figured out. This is going to be something I want to do that everybody can do. Well, not that I can do because I'm the one who is a true adult ADD, and I have to figure things out in my own way to make it work. And now I'm going to put it on everything. You know what? You could make this strictly as a puppy book. Wait a minute, Linda, you said a new puppy book. Are you getting another puppy? So remember, this is not glued down yet, so I'm just going to hold it. You can make this as just one, like the hunting paper. Oh my gosh, wouldn't this be a gorgeous hunting tag? And these are things we don't have a lot of pictures usually for, but you want a little bit of a keepsake or memory, and you don't need something super big. But you need to have something where you can get them out each year and look. Now I'm going to turn it over to the back. Not too worried because we've got these we can open up, and we don't need the whole back because this will be adhered down to our album. Had I cut it correctly, I could have had that come out. That would have been adorable. So sometimes check your cut aparts before you cut. Now, as we put the weight on too, you're going to see how much easier it starts sliding. Okay, for those of you that know how to set your eyelet, you don't have to use an eyelet on here. It sticks out. You don't have to have one. Definitely isn't going to make it work better, or it just, and I should have pulled these out first. Looks like I'm down to silver. I have black, but you know, they crack, the paint does. So it's 4 inches, and I want to mark 2 inches and about a 1/2 inch up. Hi, Tina. And The reason for the mark is so when we close it, you can make sure it's not too close to this edge right here. And as long as it's not, and I leave mine closed, so as I'm punching the hole, if I have to adjust it, I can. But that looks good. In goes my eyelet. Oh, Linda, I have a Ring camera that's it is in my backyard so I can watch Wilbur. And I don't have to worry about Wilbur though. He's so good with the chickens. I have to watch Bagel. She's a little stinker. I mean, I still have to watch Wilbur on some things. But it's nice to have. It is definitely nice to have. I won't put any ribbon in there yet. Well, hi, Nancy. And I'm going to go ahead and do the waterfalls because I've already cut out my cut-aparts. Let me show you. Your cut-aparts, and I do still have the sheets. Your cut-aparts were made fabulously. So, and you have 3 sheets if you bought the collection or just the kit for February. Each kit can be bought. Like I said, I still have some at countrycraftcreations.com. Some local stores might have some also. But you'll see the 4x4s and the 4x4s. And because there's 3 sheets, I was able to use front and back. And I just cut out my, oh, I did use one of the 4x6 and cut it down because I thought it was just beautiful. And isn't that darling? So you've kind of got both looks, the younger, but I wanted to combine them. And then for the back side, oh, that's so pretty. So we're using, I'll use the back sides, of course. I'm going to need one more, but I thought I'd wait and cut that from these papers. So my first one, and they're 4x4, but I cut them down. Just trim them to 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. So I want February to be on the front. When we put it on the back side, if you wanted, I did the back sides. It is a different size. Oh, the You Were Young, there was one, but it's You Were Young. It was green and blue. It was a young, oh no, I mean, you've got some of the younger looking cut-aparts as opposed to your more Victorian. That's what I meant. Now don't just flip it unless you got to hold it and make sure you're flipping it on that score mark. See this? This is now only 3 inches, 3.5 inches. So when you do the back side, I do need to cut this off because I just left them 4x4. Oh, thank you, Cheryl. So I actually need to take out 5/8 of an inch to make it 3 3/8. So I'll go ahead and do that with these guys. They'll be 3 3/8. I love that for journaling. And I'm just going to take off 5/8 of an inch. Oh, I think I'll use this one. That's very pretty. Oh, I'm going to wait. There was a reason I think I waited. Oh, no, we're safe. So you do need the 4. You know what, Erica? It's hard to not hoard the authentic paper. I agree. And they're printing for the new year. So I'm excited to see when that all comes out. Let me go ahead and get my photo corners punched. And now it depends on what I'm putting on the back. So I'm going to go this one. So I think I'll go with that one at the top. And just in case, yours will be the same, but you might want to measure. It's either 3.5 I haven't really done a lot, Erica, with this collection. And so I just thought it was time. Now see, I've cut mine just a hair short, but that's okay. It just gives me plenty of room for that to freely turn. Whoops. We have flying paper. I love the texture too, and I hope it's something that they will continue. I do know paper costs have gone up. This photo, I love the photo corner punch. Sometimes though it's hard to get it matched up. So I'm hoping it continues. Remember, don't just flip this over. You're going to have problems. Pick it up and help it over. Go with our angel. Oh, I didn't even know that was the back side. So of course it works. Authentique prints in smooth and then a texture. And the texture is, well, they're both about the same, believe it or not. It's just the texture gives it that texture, of course. So it feels a little heavier, but it's a perfect weight for all your projects. I love it. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, so gorgeous. Remember, at this point, just be kind to your little waterfall. This, though, is my favorite. Love it. And I hope you find this, if you've tried these type of waterfalls, I don't know what they're called. I hope you find this an easier way. And a secret is if you want it bigger, make it the same size, just go wider, wider, wider. And you'll have a perfect pull down or cascading waterfall every time. Because if it's difficult, I'm not doing it. But I'm going to find another way to do it. Well, Doris, there's not much of this left. This is actually from last year. And, oh, I've got some left online. But mostly I have the packs for each month. This was a huge line that came out a year ago, this December. And I've always kept it in stock, and now it's like not available for me to purchase, but I do have it in the store. Now, you have these two little sections, and you can do this as one section. I didn't do it as one section. I did it as two to put that January. And just like the January, we have, so let me show you. Because in the collection pack, you get the three of 3 of each, and there's even the solid with the pink. I love this. It's so distressed. And then these ones. Now on here, there's not also. Oh, there was a cut apart. There has to be. They pretty much did these the same. Let me double check here. Oh, they didn't. Okay, well, we'll go with these little guys. So the artist did not put a February like the January. They put the calendar, so that's okay. Once again, you can do the whole thing if you want. And the size that you're going to need. Oh, it's at the top of the left. Katie, do you mean this? Wait a minute. Are you seeing this? Okay, I'm going to look one more time. Those are our solids. That's okay. We don't need this. We need this one. So from there to the bottom is 5 inches. Oh, no, that's okay. Don't ever be sorry. So see what we can get off here. At 5 inches. We need 4 7/8. And we can't cut her little face. We know we need 3 7/8. So we're going to use the back side. No, we're not. We're going to use the birds. So I am going to do the sections because I really want the birds. So again, this is 3 inches. So we know 2 7/8, but this little piece up here at the top is going to be 2 inches. So 3 7/8, 3 7/8 wide, and then 2 7/8, and then I'll use this one, but we only need 1 7/8 for that little spot up on top by 3 7/8. Hi, Judy. Little piece there, or you could even go more solid if you're going to use it for journaling. There we go. We're almost ready to put this on our tag. Okay, One last time, let's make sure things fit. And I want to show you one more thing. This part here on the January, it doesn't really show. It does have, you know, nobody's going to pull this down and look. But if you want, you definitely can map this piece before you put it down. And just go ahead and do a quick measurement here. Or you could have, well, this would not have fit all the way to the top anyway. So it's another 2 7/8 of an inch piece. And I think I'll go ahead, even though you won't see it. Those are just darling. I'm not going to use those. So I've already cut into the pink and the red side. Here we go. I did this because I've already cut the matting for the next page for the back side. So I'm going to cut this to 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. And what I want to do is just to see if this is going to give it a little more body. And it's really only taking a scrap. So totally up to you. It's optional. Let's see what happens. You could also put, if you use the eyelets, you can also put a hook on the wall and hang these up each month. That is done. Now for my tag. I'll add the ribbon later onto that. And the only places you want to add adhesive are on these 2 extension pieces that we made here on the side. Use something strong. It's going to have a lot of use. That is the only place we're going to glue down. I'm not going to really pull on it yet. And then if you have something that you can go underneath just to make sure you didn't glue, no glue came out and glued this top down. Okay, I'm not going to pull right now. I want to let that dry. Then we'll pull on it later. So let's do the back side. The back side is that little booklet. I did use a magnet. You don't have to. You can totally leave this off and just, you can leave it, or you can also add ribbon. But I did it so it's on the inside so it didn't cover our graphic. I am going to make a box, so I think next week we'll I'll go ahead and have a box made for you that each tag can go into, because I am going to finish the months. I love this. You know, it's not, you make a project and then you're like, oh, I really do like this project. And you're going to keep going on it if you really like it. Okay, let's get our measurements. So if you are writing down, which is the best way to do, is to write down our live shows. This piece is just left over from when we cut everything. And it's 4.5 by 4. So I just went with it. 4.5 by 4. We'll do the scoring here in a minute. And our pieces are 6 inches. The first one is 6 by 9. They graduate down into size. So I have a 6 inch by 4.5 inch. Then I have a 4 inch by 6 inch. But you could make these any size. So let's score the 6 by 9 first. And you're just going to score it in half at 4.5. and we're going to score each piece at 1/2 inch. 4.5 by 6, we're going to score with the 4.5 at the top at 1/2 inch, and then our 4 inch at the top of the scoreboard at 1/2 inch, and our closure. That's 4.5 by 4 with the 4.5 at the top, score at 1/2 inch. Now, if you want to use a magnet, you could also do just a tie, or you can just leave it. And I'm going to use the magnets, but when using them this way, I have to use, and you'll see why, 2 pluses if you're using the basic gray. Because it's here and here, and I wanted it to grab on the inside, so they're backwards. And there's no magnet here, so I could put a picture here. Okay, let's fold our first piece completely in half. I've already done the corners with my crocodile and making sure it's all even. And then mine will open this way. It's just my little closure. And you definitely can change the order you put these in. You may want smaller and then a bigger and a smaller hidden. So many fun things you can do with this. What we're going to do first is just miter the corners on your 2 pages. Yes, this live video will stay on YouTube, and it will also stay in Authentique so that you can access it. And if you go back, if you're on the Facebook page on Authentique Paper, go back into the video files. You're going to see 3 years worth of tutorials and lots of great things that you can make. Last year's Valentine is in there, and we did a box with folios that is still sitting on my desk. Actually, I'm getting it out for Valentine's. I thought that one turned out darling too, with the Valentine paper. So I am just now going to stack these on top. This one was the 4.5 inch piece. After we scored it, it became 4 inches by 6. So I put that one on first. This is now 3.5 by 4. I mean 3.5 by 6. And we're going to just stack that now on top. Make sure everything's even. We're going to mat. So this piece on top became 3.5 inches. So when you cut your matting, and I did it from the cut apart, I cut my cut apart. So you'll have to kind of strategically place it to keep it, the picture balanced. This is now 3 3/8 by 5 7/8 for the cover. So you'll want a back piece, and I'm going to use, of course, the coordinating piece that was in there, 3 3/8 by 5 7/8. Now I just went for all the solids and stripes, and for this piece that was 4.5, it's now 4 inches. So 3 7/8 by 5 7/8, and you're going to want 2 of those. So I'll be using the red and the pink. And our base, which was the 6 inches by 9. These were 4.5, but if you measure, I mean, if you measure, they're still the same. They don't change because we didn't score a gusset. They're 4.5 by 6. So your pieces are going to be 4 3/8 by 5 7/8. These are the pieces I'm using. It is, you know what, Marcy, that, and you could make an album and then you can make a little gift that goes with it. It's always fun to put that little gift in there. So mine are cut. And you have your measurements. So I'm going to go ahead and lay these all down. You don't even have to mat all the pages if you don't want. You could just mat the top one and then put pictures on the rest of them. But it takes very little paper. Oh, with this collection, of course, I love the black, but I've used red. I love the red with it. So I would go with the ivory. The ivory is going to give, or the natural, give you a little more of a lighter look. You'd be amazed how your cardstock base, like the black or the ivory, changes a little bit the look of your paper or the craft. Now, craft, you can't go wrong with craft when it comes to our Authentiques collections, because it just matches every single one of them. So black, craft, natural will look fabulous with this. Oh, now we're on to the bigger pieces. So this is the 3 7/8, or the 3 7/8 piece. And it's nice that I can use front and back with this collection. Isn't that neat though? I don't know if you guys can see all the distressing that is already on that pink. So how many of you are now running to get your calendar collections out that you bought, had tons left over from other projects? Oh, pink on this side. I love this pink, and I like pink. Oh, Tina, guess what, guys? I'm not using magnets. Thank you. I got to go, and so this one's going to have a pretty little seam binding ribbon. Okay, I'll go back though, and I'm going to show you. Yeah, I got to talking, looking at the paper. So let me stop for a moment. This is would be going on the back. Now I'm changing mine because mine's going to have a ribbon. I'm just going to use this temporary stick. So I can show you. Now, see, you don't want to cover that picture. So what I should have done, magnet there. I should have put the magnet underneath there and then closed it. Okay. That's where those would have gone, but I didn't do it. This will connect to the back like so. Oh, sometimes, you know what, if we could all be on Zoom for these lives, which is not, it would have been great because you would have caught me, you would have said, don't mat that page, but that's okay. We have seam binding, so I won't be using this one. This one will be a little different. I'll take my seam binding, which is okay too. I have a red seam binding. Or you can leave it. Yeah. You know what? If I don't pre-mark with the pen on the papers, then I always do that. I don't think your Wi-Fi, it's, you know, a lot of things with Facebook have changed. If you're on Facebook, you'll just need to, unfortunately, you have to refresh your page. It's just crazy. And my last one, I love the polka dots. Now this back did not get, we don't mat. It's what's going to be glued down. Actually, we make the little pocket. And then you can make your little tag that sticks down in there like I did, if you want. Okay, now I'm going to put my ribbon down since I forgot my magnet. So I just cut a pretty good piece of my seam binding. And I am going to crinkle this one up just a little bit because I want it more crinkled than on the other one. Okay. For that, I'll use this quicker. I am going to add some embellishments to the end of my seam binding here in a minute. I like the ribbon too. So either way you go, it's going to be really cute. Now we can attach this to the back. Oh, and this should be dry enough. So let's try this out. Now I'm going to show you. In the first time you do this, you know what? Did I mess this up by putting that on the back? Okay, by putting the paper on the back, so that was a good experiment. It made it a little bit tighter, but it's starting to loosen up. So here's the difference. I did not put any matting on the back here, so I think it works a lot better without it, but it will loosen up. It is loosening up, but it's going to be a little bit stiffer. Isn't that cute? Okay, now for the bottom, I'll just do the same thing. Oh, I've got a piece long enough of seam binding. Good idea, Lynn. Lynn just said we could alternate seam binding, and we definitely can. So I'll just take my seam binding through the hole. And I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a longer tutorial today. And I'm going to tighten a knot with us pulling on it. And then I'll cut some hearts. We'll do that at the end. So don't cut it too short yet. And now see, you can grab a hold of that. Isn't that cute? And I don't know about you, but to me, this was so a lot less stressful than putting the band and I can never get them to work. I was flustered, and like I said, I'm not going to put paper on the back again. For some reason, it just really stiffens it too much, but it still works. Okay, before we punch our hole here, let's put our little booklet on the back. Yeah, I like the ribbon for this one, and I definitely like the band. So yeah, I will be doing too. I also have this piece I was going to use on the edge before I put it down of some, they're just little pom-poms. So I think I'll go ahead and do that. We're going to glue this as a pocket. going to lift the ribbon back. And I'll just use tape. Add my pom-poms to the bottom. Here on the inside so they stick out a little bit. Give it a little extra added. Now, because I want this to be a little tuck spot, let's glue there too. I'm going to put that glue right on top of that score tape so it doesn't stay sticky, and so I can put my little tags in there that we're going to make. And remember, you need room at the top if you're going to add a little tag to pull, and you want to put down your eyelet. Or you may want to add flowers up at the top. Oh, and yes, you could put an embellishment where and I've done that before, but it's not my favorite. But you certainly can. And I see it done a lot. Oops, I didn't mean to grab that. Okay, let's go ahead and put the eyelet at the top. This is drying. Your booklet is, or your tag's 5 inches. So the middle is 2.5. And again, you want to be about 1/2 inch down. And we'll punch another hole. No, mine didn't catch. You just lift it up. I consider this the front, so I'm going to put my eyelet that way. Well, you're right, Lynn, and they're also learning moments. You know, I had a feeling that was going to smash it, and it did. And I won't be able to get it out. So, good thing we're going to cover this one with a bow. Yeah, that really messed up. Woohoo, it did work. So I used my ball roller because I saw on YouTube, but I'll have to get it out later, that you can work it out that way, and it did work. So I'm happy it's not ruined. And then you just put another one in. You know, I think mine's getting worn out is the problem. It does happen with the brads. And mine, pretty old. There we go. Been dropped a lot. So I've got a red and a pink seam binding. You may or may not know from if you have water And actually, I just have water in this bottle. And then you don't have to worry about it drying a lot. I just lightly spritz it. If you're using a seam binding and you want it to be more crinkled, because the more you use it, it's going to crinkle anyway. And I found that this is pretty fast. You don't have to wait for it to dry. And through the eyelet we go. Oh, everybody makes mistakes. Now, if you don't use an eyelet, that's fine. Just don't pull super hard. Okay. Decide what length you want. I'm going to cut it off. Save those. And on this one, I have this other ribbon that I want to use. Hi, Nicole. Ooh, barely have it. It's black and white. Got to use it. Let's see. Well, I consider that the front. So we're just going to tie a bow. I want it to be a little bit smaller. We'll fix that one later. I need my sewing scissors. I'm going to consider the waterfall at the front. You don't have to consider the waterfall at the front, either side, basically. Like I said, do not mat the back. It's making it just too stiff when it goes down in. Now, your little tag. Just using a scrap. I won't do that. It's very straightforward. I did mine 3 inches by 6 3/4, so it will stick out. If you'd like to have one in, very simple, like I said, because we're already an hour and a half, and I'm sorry I took up your whole morning. And then I will be punching some hearts, but I do want to show you the hearts. That's why I'm not going to do it with the tag. Putting it on the ends of your seam binding. So I'm just going to punch a bunch. So we have 4 ribbons here and 2 at the bottom. So you need 2 for each. So I want 10. Oh, let's use some penguin. Well, thank you, but I don't mean to take up all your morning or your afternoon. Okay, so let's grab our ribbons, grab our hearts, and you can also ink them. I'm just going to put it in the center first because we just want to attach it down. And then the piece that we're going to put on the back, of course, you want to add adhesive all over it. And so I can keep working, I'm just going to add some clothespins, and we'll go to the next one. And these make such cute danglies off of your seam binding. And if you aren't liking the edges, 'cause you can't take to the seam binding, you cannot take you know how you take your lighter and seal off the ends, because you're going to start your whole project on fire. Trust me. I'm not going to tell you how I know. you will cause a fire. This stuff will burn fast. So I do not advise. You can use some art glitter glue on the ends of it. See, they do tend to fray, or you may like that fray look. Right, you only want to glue 3 sides of that booklet, Linda. Don't glue the whole booklet, just the 3 sides to create a pocket. Is that one red? Okay, this one will be pink. So remember, you want 2 for each. And any of your punches will work, or your cutouts. So let's do the bottom. And again, I only need, oh, I want to do those guys too. I only need 2 on the bottom. So I'm going to cut these just a little shorter. And then I use snowflakes on January. Just makes it a little extra fun. This one will be pink. Pink and plaid. Oh, this one we need to do the whole back. See how cute that is? I love them. I just think it adds so much. Oh, Bessie, yes, a clover punch for March. That'll be, oh, now I've got to find one too. Oops. Let me retie this. This one I'll just go with the plain. If you have the Cricut or Silhouette, you probably, you don't have punches, you for sure can cut out your little shamrocks, I'll bet. So let's just cut that off. Oh, you know what? I showed how to make a shamrock with the heart. I forgot. I did that last year here on Authentique. Yes, you put your hearts together, Janice. I forgot about that. We don't need one. If you don't want to put a tag in that little pocket, flowers would be just gorgeous up there at the top. And I will be going around those and inking them later, but now I've got my dangle hearts here, and I'll be working on this today to make that not so tight. I'll fix this little guy. And here's our dangles. Aren't they cute? I'm going to take those off now. And snowflakes. So that is our monthly cute. I'm just so happy with this. I love it. I just knew I needed to get something going with this paper since I really haven't used it. And I hope you guys love this project. Sorry it was a little bit long today, but it was a lot of fun. You can go back and watch it. Yeah, that's so much smoother without the back. Go back, watch it, make one for every month, and then be sure to join us on our sister group, Everything Authentique, so that you can show us your finished project, because we'd love to see it finished. Now I'll probably go back with some glossy accents so that looks like he's a little popped heart, and you can go back through and do all your finishing work. Yes, I'm glad you loved it, and thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week here on Authentique, and I'll have the box made, and we'll just get the box made so that you can have a place now to store your monthly tags. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. It's already here, and I know I'm going to be crafting. See you later.